So this is a video from Tim Pool, and I do have one specific disagreement with him in this video.
You got this liberal guy basically complaining about everything Trump has done, and it's everything everybody wanted. So when they say people have Trump regret, just watch this guy's video.
Well, MAGA, you got everything you wanted, right? You finally won the war on woke. Trans people can't play sports anymore.
Nope. Trans women, aka men who identify as women, can no longer play in female sports.
The government will only recognize two genders now, male and female. The
two sexes, which sex is gender, gender is sex. It's the way it's always been. The woke have transformed that into being something that makes no sense. Pretty much based on personality.
Federal employees can't put their pronouns in their email signature anymore. DEI is all but dead. Those elitist, woke, liberal universities are losing all of their federal grants and contracts. Elon Musk is taking his chainsaw to the government and firing half of the federal workforce. Donald Trump is going to bulldoze Gaza and turn it into a beachfront golf resort. People lost their student loan forgiveness.
Okay, so here's the thing with the student loan forgiveness. Both on the right and the left, they're wrong about this. I voted for Biden back in the day, specifically because he said he would eradicate student debt, which he didn't do. Actually, what he did do was he helped the people that could already afford to pay on their student loans, but he didn't help the people who couldn't pay for their student loans, people who couldn't afford to pay for their student loans. And even then, he lied about his promises. He didn't follow through with his promise. Now, the people on the right will say, well, taxpayers shouldn't have to bail out students for getting themselves into this mess and in the debt that they have. I can see their point. Now, I myself have student debt, but because of health issues, in the past 15 years, I haven't been able to pay on them, obviously, because of health issues and because I live way, way, way below the poverty line. So instead of coming together, Republicans and Democrats, and saying, let's figure out a way that we can help some people get out of being buried in student debts. Instead of saying that, the Democrats, what they did was they said, we'll eradicate it for everyone, even people who have rich parents who can bail them out, even people who have money and can bail themselves out. Let's help everybody. And the Republicans looked at them and said, we're not going to help out people who already have money. That makes no sense. You're going to be taking away money from hardworking people and bailing out people who already have money. I could see their point. But what none of them said was that maybe, just maybe, we can bail out the people below the poverty line, people who have a hard time as it is. Maybe help those people, bail them out of debt so they at least have a fighting chance. No one mentioned that at all. I think that would have been a fair middle ground. You won't be helping out the rich, spoiled people, and you'll be helping out the people who are really in desperate need. But no, let's go to the extreme. That's what the Republicans did. That's what the Democrats did. Because really, when it comes down to it, I don't think they actually want to bail out people who are buried in student debt. I don't think they want to. I think they put that initiative forth in order to get votes without actually intending to do it, without actually even intending to help out the people who really need it.
Finally got all those tariffs and the tit-for-tat trade war with our closest allies that you wanted so damn badly. Hell, you even got your plastic straws back in the Gulf of America to boot. So, are your lives better now? All that stuff that you were complaining about for the last 4 years, is any of it better? No? It's almost as if trans people weren't the reason your lives were so miserable.
Well, trans people aren't the reason why people's lives are miserable. But trans people, men, specifically men identifying as women, were a big part of the problem. It was an identifier of the problem with the Democratic Party. The Republicans just flashed more light on it. And this guy just wants to hear and smell his own farts. He thinks the people who voted for Donald Trump, even if they didn't like him, regret it. He is so deep into believing that he is putting forth the video saying, oh, we didn't want that. You didn't want that? Oh, yeah? You voted for it. Oh, you're not happy? Oh, I guess trans people weren't the problem. You're not listening. You're just smelling your own farts. The truth is that majority of what Donald Trump did, yeah, even though I don't like the guy, I voted for him, and I voted for everything that he did. The student loans thing, making people start paying for their student loans, again, I didn't vote for that. I did partially vote for that. Like, people who can't afford it should pay back their student loans, but people who are buried in debt, if you're making below $15K a year, I don't think you should have your wages garnished. I don't think if you're making $30K a year, you should have your wages garnished. I think that's where there should be a meet in the middle, but nobody wants to do that. That's one problem I have with the Republican Party and the Democrats at this point. It's the one thing Trump did that I don't like. Out of all the things that he's done, that's the one thing, just the one. Now, I've been managing for 15 years, and I'll manage again. I've been able to live poor for a very, very long time, and I'll continue to do so because that's what you have to do. But to come on the internet and snidely say stuff that is so not correct, it's just proving the point that, yeah, the Democratic Party is kind of full of a bunch of weak men talking down to people and not realizing that what they're saying is actually horseshit. Talking down to, trying to educate us, believing that we have beliefs that we don't have, and then trying to dictate things towards us as if we believe those things when we don't. It's like they live in a world that we don't live in. They live in La La Land. We live on Earth. You see what I'm saying? These guys, if they keep doing this, if they keep talking like this, if this is their representation, you're only going to push more and more people farther away from your party. So if you want to lose, keep it up. I mean, you've had your heads in the sand and in your ass for a long time, and it doesn't seem like you're pulling it out anytime soon. So, I mean, what can you do? You can only explain it to them so much before you realize there's just no point in talking to them. Not like they want to talk to you anyway. They'd rather educate you on their ways because their ways work so well for them. But that their ways only work for rich people. Another problem with their party. They only want to talk to people who have money. They don't want to talk to people who have to work for a living. People who are poor, struggling. Nah, they don't want to talk to them. They don't want to meet them at their level. They would rather talk down to them. It's very arrogant. And people can smell the bullshit. Especially people who live in the real world and have a hard time staying afloat. We can see the bullshit because we've had to deal with it. You know, we're the people checking out your groceries. We're the people in the call centers. We're the people in customer service. We've had to deal with a myriad of different people, kind and nasty. We know how people work. We know how the world works. Democrats, they don't. They have no idea. But because they're so arrogant, they believe so highly that they do. And that's why they continue to bury themselves. The Democrats are digging a grave for themselves, and they're believing if they keep digging deeper and deeper, they'll dig themselves out of the hole. Truth is, they'll just bury themselves. And they're doing a very, very good job of it. So let's do this one.
And this has been insane, like really surprised to see this, but they even have whole teams. Like there's a whole team of people that are trans. Is this tournament for women? All women, yeah, all women tournament.
Just for context, this is what this esports circuit states on their site. ESL Impact was made for women to unapologetically enjoy what they love the most, Counter-Strike. On the server, it's your skill that matters, not your gender. People are mostly confused because if the gender truly doesn't matter, why aren't all males allowed to compete in this then?
It's a full team of trans people. Whenever I look at this kind of stuff happen and I see the way that people respond, I just can't see this lasting. Because like now people are...
If you look at this picture, if we were in the 80s, this would just be an 80s glam rock band. But today, it's a group of fellas who indulge way too much in sissy porn. They are the guys who creep you out. These fellas don't believe in equal rights for men and women. They believe in their privilege. They identify into a group of people in order to get their way, because they probably live in their mother's basement and they're very spoiled by their mothers. You see this a lot with men who are spoiled by their moms that they end up almost mirroring the way that their mothers look, or maybe their best friend who's a girl. But guys like this really repel women and, of course, men. Nobody wants to be around these guys because they're cheating. They're doing things unfairly in order to get their way, which isn't that typical of the trans community nowadays, stomping over everyone's rights in order to get their own way. And that's the kind of taste it leaves in people's mouths when they see photos like this.
Reacting to this in such a negative way, this is just my opinion. I think that anything that's reserved for women should be reserved for biological women. Because if gender is a construct, then this is not a construct, right? Make a trans league. Well, usually, and this is what happens, right? Is the reason why you have women's leagues with a lot of sports is because women just simply can't perform at the same level that men can. The other reason is because sometimes they're very underrepresented. There are very few women competing. So if you have somebody that is like trans, well, they can still compete, but they'd have to compete in the base league and not the league that's made for biological women. And I think the more that they try to like muddy the waters with this stuff, the more it's going to alienate people and weird people out.
Oh, I watched this live stream, and another thing that Asmongold said that made a lot of sense was, well, in his chat, someone said, well, what about chess? Or it's not a physical sport, why does it matter? And Asmon said something that was very profound. He said that with men, there's pretty much two extremes. They're either really smart or they're really dumb. That's why you have the dumbest men in prison. But you also have the smartest men, regardless of how you want to dictate what smart is, in positions of power. Now, women, there's not a lot of extremes. There's not a lot of bad women. That's why I don't see a lot of women in jail, in prisons. And there's not a lot of really smart women, which is why you don't see a lot of women in higher ranks unless DEI is enforced. That doesn't mean that there aren't smart women. It's just there's less of them as well as there's less bad women. We kind of gravitate more towards the middle, like homeostatic type of sex. And men are more like really obsessive or really violent. Well, they could be both as well. But he made this good point. Now, that's why you see men do so well in gaming, in chess, in golfing, all types of sports. It's because they're on the extreme end. And women, physically and mentally, can't compete with the obsessive male. Most of us just can't. It's a fact of life. I think it would be a good thing if we just acknowledged that and went on our way, worked harder, became more obsessed. Whatever you have to do, but being mad at reality isn't going to do you much good. Now, these guys, they will probably do very, very well and dominate women because reality is reality and logic is logic, and that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. This is going to do nothing but make people, sorry to say, hate trans, specifically men who identify as women, even more than they already do. It's going to repel them, it's going to gross them out, and it's going to creep them out. And I don't blame them, because when you see biological men stomping all over something that's supposed to be specifically for women, it's going to piss not only logical, rational women off, it's going to piss off majority of men, because majority of men aren't feminine, democratic, liberal, sissy porn watching men. They're just not. Most men want to defend women, so they'll get mad at stuff like this. So let's go to my last one here. Okay, 352.
According to the activists too, because that's where the problems start, when you politicize parts of life that should never, ever be politicized. So the Democrats want change, but they want to use a scalpel when they really need a wrecking ball. It's not simply that Dems turn off men because they're too moralizing. It's way bigger than that. No, it's that they believe men can have babies and women can have dicks. It's simple as that. I mean, men can pretty much put up with anything. We're not that political. We like cars, girls, and pizza.
But if you're a Democrat, you want to push on to men that you can't have the car unless it's eco-friendly. You can't have the woman unless she has a penis. And you can't have the pizza unless it's vegan and gluten-free. That'll turn a lot of men off. Don't tell people what to do. Don't try to educate them. Leave them be. Meet them where they're at. Don't do this stupid shit and expect to have a different result. You've been doing it the whole time, and you've been losing.
And this isn't what we want when we ask for beer nuts.
Also, you know, one thing about the Democrats out of many that I don't like is they try to speak not to the majority, but the minority. They speak to people of color, but not the poor ones. They speak to women, but not the ones that believe in biology, that believe that men shouldn't be in women's sports or in their bathrooms or locker rooms. They speak to men, but only the ones that are feminine, who can't control their emotions, are radical most of the time, have no real argument, aren't logical, want men in women's sports, are vegan, and believe in queers for Palestine, believe in open borders, and all that stuff. They don't talk to the regular guy because they think the regular guy is the problem. If they don't stop seeing men as a problem, they're never going to have a fighting chance. And for me, that party has let me down so much that it's hard to want to see them do good. They're the arrogant asshole family member. You see them at like a family gathering and you try to avoid them at all costs because they're only going to judge you for everything that you are and try to help you by giving you insight on their morality, which they probably picked up from their libtard friends and their liberal colleges. Democrats aren't a party of the people. They're the party of the rich people who don't have to deal with the bullshit that they put into law and that they push. It's not going to work out for them. And at this point, I don't care. Anyway, I think that's it for me. Like and subscribe, everyone.
Follow